Hey, how you doing? This is The Wash with Jude coming to you live. Well, not live, I'm live, but by the time you hear this, you will not be live. So I decided, I upgraded on a lot of my technology, so I've decided that I would put solo sort of podcast ventures out there again, as I did before. Um, so, it's the way the world is today, and the way human interaction is. I almost said interreaction, but interaction is, and how we speak to each other is crucial. But I think because of the age of social media, where you can go on a message or a text and you can kind of be as mean as you want. You can kind of say stuff to people that you would never say to their face. So it was raised this sort of age of cowardice. You wouldn't even say it to them on the phone. Okay. And I mean, it's disturbing, especially from people from the past. But I will tell you, and this message is sort of for the guys out there, okay? Because society has changed today in the way men and women communicate, okay? Now, my dad, who was recently deceased, he never argued with my mom. Never. And my mother loved to argue. Well, if she didn't get her way, if she was angry, believe me, it was like a hurricane, and it was coming. And me and my brothers would try to argue back with my mother, and my father would always just stop the argument. He'd yell at us. Never yell at my mother. I didn't know what he was doing at the time, so I'd get mad, like, why are you yelling at me, man? Why don't you yell at mom? Or why don't you talk to her? Whenever my father would talk to my mother, it would never be in front of us. He would never raise his voice in front of us. He'd take my mother into another room and talk to her. My mother was a very emotional woman. She's a tough woman, or is. She's still with us, but she was raised with 3 brothers. That'd be her mantra. She would always say, "I was raised with 3 brothers." And my uncles, 2 of my uncles, and they're tough guys. Grandfather was a tough guy. If you hear any dogs barking, I apologize. These people are training their German Shepherds on the street, just walking them around and stuff. German Shepherds, great dogs. Very loyal dogs, very smart. Many times German Shepherds are smarter than their actual owners, believe it or not. My friend told me a German Shepherd can hide in your blind spot, and it's true. But we're not here to talk about German Shepherds. I'm just glad there wasn't any barking to interrupt my train of thought. So my father never got emotional. He always used logic. And I believe as sons we were emotional. We weren't as logical as we could be. Okay. I think my sister was actually less emotional than we boys were. But that's not neither here nor there. So the thing is, whenever I look on social media, I hear people talk. I see men arguing with women, even in the street these days. They're arguing back and forth with women, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Guys, you will never win an emotional engagement with a woman. You're just not built that way. You can't do it, but you're being lured into circumstances where you try to battle on the field of emotion. And that's not good, not for a man. All jokes aside, you're supposed to be more logical. Those are the gifts bestowed on you as logic. Okay, and many people who come from homes with fathers see the logical side, both guys and girls. But if both sides are being raised by the mother, well, you're going to always lead with emotion. You just are as a man or a woman. And that's the way you will handle women in arguments, or your wife or fiance. I believe that's why a lot of marriages aren't lasting these days. I believe men are too emotional. I'm really not speaking to the women on this. You can listen, participate from a side, cast your own mental, witchcraft, whatever it may be. So why I'm saying this is to get it's a precursor to what I'm about to tell you, the story I'm about to tell you. Okay, so I like to drink and go on social media, both of which are not good. It's not a good combination. But I'm saying my sin to you. Yeah, I like to drink and go on social media late at night when I'm done working out. And I like to look at people's pages and what I think I would not say in the daytime, I will say under, and it's what I feel, my truthful thoughts. I'm hardly ever mean, but it may come out kind of tactless. But what I will always do is I will always give my opinion on things in an inebriated state I usually would not give if I was sober. Because I don't want the conflict. I don't want the proverbial smoke. So that's what I'll do. I will give my opinion. And then I'll start to look around at pictures, and I'll start to look at people, and I'll start to think, oh man, it'll bring me back to other times and other places, and raise and schools of thought in my head, which maybe I've had repressed for a long time. So I got to think about, man, all the times when I was in college, how many dudes that I knew try to sleep with women or get with women that I did as well. Because that was something that I never did. I was never a proponent of that. But I mean, in your 20s, I guess that's a thing certain guys do. Okay, when you have a woman, it may not be your girlfriend, but maybe somebody you're just kicking to, maybe just a girl you're kicking it with, that you're not serious with, that you're just having fun with, that you're just visiting. Something to do. A something to do girl. Again, not a girlfriend, hey, something to do. Because there are guys who'd rather hang around and like make out with girls or, take showers with girls and stuff like that than hang around with a pile of guys playing PlayStation. I like PlayStation, but like I like making out with a girl kind of better. That's just how I was. That means it's different folks with different strokes. Some guys are gamers and some dudes just like to be with women. And is that a good thing? No. You start to take it to the point where it can't come back from, which we all know is sex or intercourse. But playing around is playing around. Kissing, petting. I mean, that's stuff you do. And yeah, a lot of times it does go into the intercourse range. But I mean, I like that better than playing Madden, and I love Madden. But you lose a game of Madden. What am I going to do now? I'm 20 years old on a college campus. Or I'm in the gym. What do I do now? Oh, there's this girl that I know. I'll go check her out. She likes me. I like her. Girlfriend? Nah. Because maybe she's dating a lot of guys at the time. Not dating, but she has a lot of friends that are stopping in and out, doing what you're doing. Or just, it's just not your type, or maybe it's not a girl that you like to show off. I know it sounds plastic, but I think many of us have little plastic attributes inside of us. Me as well. So I'm saying that I would, have random women around campus that, I would just stop and see. And, on occasional nights you get bold and guys, we'd sit down. If you were in a fraternity, you'd sit down and start talking about women, comparing notes. And that's a big mistake. Because you're opening the door of interest to other guys who are going to now, they think with some magical abilities that if you could get that girl, well, they could definitely get that girl. And this is how it was in your 20s, I guess. Or where, I always thought I was of a higher elevated mind and sort of morality, but some people are low energy, low frequency. And even on a college campus, you're going to find a lot of low frequency people. So, this happened commonly. I mean, I joined a fraternity, or I pledged a fraternity. The fraternity that I became a member, you don't join, you pledge. And pledging is a whole different thing. I don't want to go into it. The whole ritualistic aspect, but yet sort of molding you to conformity to an ideal But even to be molded to conformity once means you can always be molded to conformity, you know. Especially if you're not a conformity person. So what would happen was, trying to keep my train of thought. I apologize. So yeah, frequently. So I went up and down my Facebook friends list, 5,000 friends. Yes, intoxicated. So maybe certain senses were elevated. So I went up and down, and I, stumbled across a picture. That's like, you know what? I want to get to the truth, because I used to have a frat brother, and he's a really good guy. He's still alive, still around, and everything like that. But he's a really good guy, and I've always held him in sort of high esteem. And I never thought he could be one of those people. I thought he was a high-frequency person. I still think he's a high-frequency person. But I said, I wonder even if he could fall to the low-energy temptation. So I wrote this girl that we both knew, because it seemed like we both hung around her a lot. She was Haitian American. Her name, I won't give her name on the air. I won't do that. But, she was a theater major, Haitian American. But, names and all that's not important. And that's not, really the route I want to go, is shaming somebody or doxing someone. That's not, this is just for the context of the story. So, the thing was, I wanted to see, is my frat brother also like a high-frequency person? Is he a good dude? I thought he was, but, hey, people have surprised me before. People have shown me the worst when I didn't expect it. And, I'm kind of like already think humanity is low anyway. The human nature is negative by default. So I said, okay, let me just ask. So I wrote her a note and said, hey, I have something to ask you about, such and such. So the next morning I get up and I look at my messages, and I see this very profane, very vulgar message. I don't really want to read it because I don't want to give it any kind of power. But it's like the short man sort of message. Like you were not within my sort of girth or inch per se demographic. Almost like a trying to like reject you before you rejected them type of thing. But we were kind of like never together. But that's neither here nor there, because I was just sitting there to ask a question to see if my friend, my frat brother, if they had slept together, or if he'd been like sort of, one of those dudes you could trust, and sort of one of those guys that you can always look up to and be like, well, at least there's one. At least there's one. So it reached me back this vulgar message. And then, I wasn't even tempted. In my younger days, I would have just let loose like an idiot. Because that whole thing, the whole questioning someone's manhood, or, number one, it's foolish in nature. I mean, number one, if you're the kind of woman, and I'm sorry if this sounds crass and brass, but if you're a pole vaulter, if you're out there handling 10 inches like it's nothing, I mean, I don't know. That doesn't sound like it's wifey material. I mean, most women, they can talk all the trash they want, but most women have a hard time handling average. And that's the truth. If you're average, you're probably doing okay. If you're between like 5 and 6, you're probably killing the game, honestly. I mean, to be a size queen is something that you have to practice at. I mean, you have to go out and find these guys, look, they're there. And if that's who you like, that's fine, but that's not the watermark for the male sexual appendage. It's just not. Okay? A matter of fact, honestly, truthfully, at your little Galentine's Day affairs and wine picture painting, you have that one girl who talks about probably the 10 and 11 inches. If she's lying, it's probably closer to 8 or something like that. I don't even care, but here's the thing. You can't handle it anyway. That's an art. That's like, yeah, anybody can shoot a 22, but can you handle a Glock? Can you handle a Magnum? Can you handle the kick? A lot of people cannot handle the kick, and if you do, well, then you're a killer. But everybody's not killers. But anyway, the whole, just beyond that whole size queen thing, and the I'm going to try to, plus she, was drinking at 11 o'clock in the morning in Florida. So that tells you a lot right there. But yet, I was drinking when I wrote the message. So I'm sort of hypocritical in that, so touche. But anyway, so we have to recognize what that is, and that goes back to the beginning, what I'm talking about, emotion. That was an emotional booby trap. That was a trap to get me to get on social media and vent. Hit her with all this stuff. Hit her, because in the end of the day, she takes it, she posts it, and I look like an idiot. No man argues with a woman and looks good. No men do. It's not a good look. It's never a good look. The optics are bad to argue with a woman. Especially if you go the emotional route. That's not the way to do it, fellas. I'm telling you right now, do not fall into these traps. Because what you're doing is you're conceding the power that you have. And the power that you have is your logical ability. If you grew up with a halfway decent father in the home, or uncle on the phone, or male figure, or good coach, they led with logic. Logic was first, emotion was second. But a lot of guys are out there right now, and it's not guys saying it, it's women that are saying it. You have to tap into your emotions. They say you have to tap into your feelings. What they're really trying to say is you have to tap into your emotions. Don't be scared to be emotional. Be emotional. Let your emotions guide you. I don't like a man who can't show me their emotions. Okay, well, fine. Then find another guy. Why are you allowing yourselves to be manipulated as such? Your father wasn't like that. Your uncle wasn't like that. Not the uncle you looked up to. Your cousin wasn't like that. Your coach wasn't like that. They led with logic, and emotion was secondary. When you lead with emotion, man, women are going to destroy you. Women are going to destroy you. I'm sorry, that's the reality of it. You're not going to out-argue a woman and look good. Even if you beat a woman in an argument, you still look soft. You look very beta. In your mind, you think you're an alpha, but you're not. You're a beta. And then Kata, Seta. You're a Seta. That's a C. You're below beta. For the pure fact, you're supposed to keep it cool, man. Logic is coolness. When you're logical, you're cool. You have the facts. Or even the facts at the moment. But what you are not is you're not emotional, scatterbrained, grabbing anything that will support your argument. A woman will grab anything to support her argument. Most women will. She just wants to get you off the point. Stay on the point. Logic, my brothers. Logic. But too many men are not in the household these days. There's too many men being taken out of the household due to divorce, single parents, maybe incarceration. And this is going across the board. This is not an ethnicity thing, man. It's happening everywhere. Maybe not as much in the Asian community. In the Asian communities, the father runs the household. Hands down, he's the king. He's the Lord. The mother controls the children and sort of the house. But the father runs everything. Hands down, his word is the last word. And that's in Asian society. I know in African society, it's more matriarchal. It's more the woman runs the household. Okay? European is the patriarchy. Father runs the household. Father, like the king, runs the household, even though they did have queens who ran everything, but it's from the patriarch. The father runs the household. And if you look at most also Latino families, the father runs the household. Okay, but here we are in the new millennium where that is demonized. And I'm not saying that's good nor bad. I'm not here to offer an opinion. It's very subjective. What I'm here to say is, men, stop being so emotional. You don't want to follow an emotional leader. So a lot of men are being taken out of the household, and women are running the households, which I guess they have to, by choice, or unfortunately they had to. Life just came in. So they run the household. So now the children are trained how to be more emotional in dealing with the problems than logical. So that's why you have sons out here with most of the men today that are growing up are feminine. Or they look at femininity as not a bad thing. And it's not a bad thing for a woman. But a lot of men are like, hey, I'm just going to throw a little femininity to my style. Going to do this, going to do that. Okay, cool, man. Cool. But you don't got to choose to introduce that into your psyche, into your mental attributes. Okay? You don't have to let that channel you. Don't get channeled by the feminine energy. You have to grasp onto the masculine energy if you're a man. Now, here's what's happening today. Too many women are trying to seize the masculine energy which they cannot control. And it's too heavy. It's too heavy. To be a man is a heavy thing. To be a true man is a heavy thing. It's a unsavory job to be a man. I mean, it may seem all the perks because you're strong and you quote unquote run society. You don't run society. Every man of power has a wife. And that wife runs that household. And that wife runs him. Do you know most policies in the United States, around the world, that are made by a man are actually made by a woman? His wife or his daughter. Hey, if you want to get into Hollywood, if you want to get into the industry, read most of the books. Tarantino got in because he knew Harvey Keitel's wife. He knew Harvey Keitel's wife. So Harvey Keitel's wife introduced Harvey Keitel to Quentin Tarantino. Boom, Reservoir Dogs. Harvey Keitel was a very good actor. And at that time, he was very hot. Quentin Tarantino, I think he was on the border of the industry, but really couldn't get his foot in the door. Okay? Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams' niece showed that script to Robin Williams, of course. From Ben Affleck to Matt Damon. That's the only script. And they won an Oscar for it, I believe. If anything I'm wrong on, I fact check wrong, please, you can put it in the comments. It's cool. But she introduced them to Robin Williams through that script, which they quote-unquote wrote, but they've never written a movie since. Just want to say you can go to Ben Affleck's IMDb and see all the movies that they've written. So maybe they wrote it, maybe they didn't. But anyway, the script got from those two gentlemen to Robin Williams. So women run things anyway. And the person who has the most power is somebody who says, I'm not running things, but actually is running everything. And that's the problem. A lot of you guys are programmed to look at women as your subordinate. They're not. They're your above equal. They are your above equal. So being my above equal, if I was to go on, because, she, my alumni, is allowed to say whatever she want, go full board, and that's okay. That's okay. Can talk about me, anything she want. No, there's no low blows. See, women do not care about this. With a woman, there's no such thing as a low blow. Men, there's a low blow. But women, see, men are always, that's what I'm saying, to be a man is a thankless job. Because you have to put boundaries on yourself. And your boundaries have to be stricter than the boundaries put on you from society. Because you're going to be judged upon those boundaries. And if you jump outside those boundaries, you're going to be judged harshly. So if I go back on that message board or that message, that Facebook message, and I return in just, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to be the monster. I'm going to be misogynistic. I'll get blocked. She'll take it, screen save it, send it all over, and I'll look like an ass for wanting to ask a question if she slept with a frat brother who I wanted to see was a moral guy who I could still look up to, which I do. And you're probably saying, look, Jude, why didn't you just address him? Because as I already said, there are moral boundaries you have to establish. For a man to even come at another man all this time later and say, hey man, did you sleep with that girl we both used to hang around with? You know? How could he ask me that? I thought this dude was cool. He seems real petty. So, you know, you go to somebody whose opinion you really don't, who is neither win or a loss. You know, you don't care what they really think anyway. You know? You ask them. Here's the thing, I never slept with the person. Never. I could have one night, but I'm just saying, it wasn't that kind of party. It was one of these things, I just come over, I just chill. You know, that's it. You know, what I think happened was, I was intoxicated that night, but I think what happened was, we were someplace, now it's all coming back to me. We were someplace and she was dancing really seductively on me and everything. I thought we were going to go back and I thought we were going to, whatever. I don't even think anything happened because they kicked me out of a Jeep and I had to walk 5 miles back home. Because it just seemed like people were talking trash. And I was like, man, I don't want to be involved in this trash talking. And he was actually there and he was like, yo, what are you doing? That's not cool. And he actually told them it wasn't cool. And he actually got my back. You remember people like this through your life. You know? There's not too many good people out there, man. You have to realize that. So when you have a good person in your life or even in your vicinity, too many people are corrupted by the here and now and what they can get and what they can manipulate. The easy hustle. And a lot of people aren't hustlers. So they fall on their face and it looks very bad. Like you're trying to juggle and you can't juggle because it looks so easy, you're going to try to do it. Well, right now it looks so easy to manipulate people and use people and be mean to people. I'm going to try, but you fall short because it's like people see it coming. They see it coming. That's why they call it a con man or a con woman. You have to be good to do those things. It's an art. Just like pole vaulting. Just like size queening. It's an art, baby. I can see a hustler coming a mile away, but I look like the face of a guy who can be hustled. That's a gift. So anyway, instead of going back at her, which I had no intention, because it didn't even affect me, because her opinion means nothing to me. As a matter of fact, a woman who tells me anything of that sort, you become lower in my eyes. I mean, I don't know how you become lower than really apathetic. But you actually become lower. It's like I get a little disgusted. So then I asked her about her theater major degree, and instead I threw up a red herring, a situation that you should not talk about. I threw up politics. Out of the blue. Politics. You want to go there? I'll go politics. So we went to politics. Tells me the election's over. I said, officially, the election's not over. She says, what do you mean? I said, well, if you're watching mainstream news, of course you're going to think that. I said, you should research. It's too hard to go to Google. Understand, these are low-energy people. Anybody who can say such sort of generically, emotionally triggering statements to get a result, they're low energy anyway. So if you hit them with something like politics or culture, or you hit them with something like, even you talk about the environment, humanity, you lose them automatically. And they're too lazy to look up anything that you're saying because they want you to force feed them the information that they can't even digest. Okay? So that's what it is. But as men, especially these young men out here, these boy men, because you're really in your 20s, you're not a man. I hate to say this. You're not. Even look at that football game. Watch an NFL football game, look on the sideline. It just looks like kids' faces on men's bodies, like that face switch thing. Now, am I putting down women? No, this is not to put down women. This is maybe to tell that one woman you don't mess with a creative person when they have a little tiny platform and nothing to do on a Tuesday. But what it definitely says is that we have to see the things in society which are wrong. And that is the feminization of men. What you need to do is find somebody, a muse, that you can identify with. Even if it's from TV, man. I remember the Fonz was the man. Nobody wanted to be Richie Cunningham. Everybody wanted to be the Fonz. But you know what? Everybody today wants to be Richie Cunningham. That's how it is. We have a world full of Richie Cunninghams. You're Richie Cunningham. That's it. Say what they want to hear. When I say they, I mean women. Women who manipulate. You got a good girl. You don't got to do anything. She's with you, man. Mind, body, spirit, she's with you. But a lot of guys want to play with that lust. And you're just out there because she's hot. And you want to hit it. So you're going to say what you can to get sex. Yeah, she knows that. But she got 5 other guys willing to do the same thing. And even if you do get her, look, there's going to be somebody who's going to say more stuff that you want. As a matter of fact, a lot of the times, it just came to me a few days ago. It's amazing how the court will remove a father from the house. So there'd be a divorce because the woman doesn't want to be told what to do. Or the man's too forceful or whatever. She wasn't raised to accept masculine energy. She wasn't raised to accept any father-like figure. She doesn't even know how to adjust to it. A lot of times, guys, it's like, apples and oranges to the fact that if all I'm used to is eating apples and you give me an orange, I'm not used to it. That's it. I don't think that's what that analogy is about, but what I'm trying to say is, if you try to introduce a father-like figure to somebody who's never had a father, whose father has been a woman, then they're not going to be able to accept what you're saying or how you're doing or how you're moving or your energy. So you're going to have to adjust to that, or you're just going to have to leave it. But many times, many women will push those men out of the nest, out of their child's life or out of the household, and they don't continue to live by themselves. They go out and find another man. And usually it's somebody who listens more than you did, or somebody who's, a cuck, or somebody like that who just let them do anything. It's a team. If you got one person in a relationship that's allowed to do anything, and you don't hold them accountable, that's on you. You're not allowed to do anything in life. How can you do anything in a relationship? How can you do anything in a friendship? There's accountability for every action, especially if the actions are affecting you or maybe your offspring. Now, I'm glad it happened. If it would have been somebody who I really respected or cared about or something like that, and they would have said something, just profane and just, ignorant. It's just ignorant. But then you got to realize, if you got somebody in your 40s saying that, then that's arrested development. That might be like sort of like an emotional handicap. I don't know. Maybe something happened. I don't know. But alcohol is not a truth serum. What alcohol opens up and lets those demons, those spirits come out, like anger, rage, lust. It's not a truth teller. So if you're a liar and you drink a beer, you suddenly become a soothsayer? No, I don't think so. These are more play on words, man. So anyway, it's logic. Don't fall into these traps. Don't fall into these emotional traps which people or women who deal in manipulation use, man. What you do you should go the high road, man. You gotta strengthen that inside, man. You gotta take the energy and put it somewhere else. Maybe something more creative. Here's the thing, and I believe this leads to a lot of domestic violence. I'm not an expert and I don't know. But when a man and a woman start to argue, and a man starts to want to argue with a woman, okay, she argues with no rules. You have rules, but she's breaking those rules, and you're not going to beat her, man. You're not going to beat her. What's going to happen is she's going to get you down to a place where you don't know how to react. And men naturally react to the violence. And when you're at a place where she's beating you emotionally and browbeating you and you're knocked out, you're going to act with violence. So get out of there. That's why they say take a walk. That's where they say leave. Because when you do react, it doesn't matter. You're still going to pay the price, which you should. It sucks, but if you make that mistake, if you get drawn into that mistake, then okay, well, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's hard, because a lot of women will take you there. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. You know? If a woman leaves a kid in the car, runs inside, and the cops come out, she's going to jail. It's going to happen. It is what it is. It sucks. Because the people who are really doing it bad don't get caught. But the people who slip one time, they're going to pay it for the rest of their life. And realize that's how it's set up. That's how the energy works. If you are a perpetrator, usually the perpetrators get away for long, not forever. They're eventually going to get caught. But usually the good people, the common people, the okay people, the moralistic people, they slip that one time and they get taken down. Down, down, down. Especially if you're a celebrity, especially if you're in the public eye. Being taken down. It sucks. That's the way it is. So, what you can do is you can know how you can handle it better. Or maybe somebody can help you, or listen to podcasts, or listen to people talk, or join men's groups, or talk to women who you trust. And, because you gotta search the knowledge out. You know? It went back to me thinking about my dad and how my dad used to handle situations, and me and my friends. Like Danny Boy, the prophet Danny Boy, I'll talk to him, and we'll talk about these things, emotional versus masculine energy, emotional intelligence, the feminization of men, and sort of culture. If you realize, when you look at all these videos out here of a man, you never see a man arguing with a woman in one of these viral videos, and a man, and all the comments say, oh, he's such a great guy. They're usually saying something horrible about him. But in many of these Karen viral videos, it's usually a white woman arguing with a gay black male. Somebody who is feminine. And there you go. And that's how they get trapped. Because they think they're seeing a brown male or a black male, and they know if they get you to an emotional place, they're going to beat you. They're going to make your reactions are going to lead you into your own downfall. For example, in New York, the Cooper woman thing, they were both named Cooper, as a matter of fact. Both New Yorkers, don't think native New Yorkers, but both highly educated. I think she went to one of these, pre-Ivies or public Ivies out in Illinois, Chicago maybe, and I think he's Harvard. So they're really kind of on the upper echelon of humanity, but still went low frequency. What'd she do? She whipped out her phone. Now, I know he was antagonizing her beforehand, because, a straight black dude is not going to sit there in a park and mess with a white woman. He's just not. He's going to leave. He's going to get out of there because he knows he can see. He's not going to argue. He's going to get out of the park because he knows already the potential what she can do. Now, if you have a black man from maybe an affluent neighborhood and he wasn't used to racism, even he might be on the logical point, okay, well, I know this is going to lead nowhere, me arguing with a woman. So that was never going to be. But in her mind, what she said, well, if I say the right things, I'll get him to, I'll trigger him emotionally. and he'll come out of his state, and the police will deal with him, which is what she really thought. Let's be honest. But she met a gay black male, feminized. So he's going to be you. He's your mirror. You pull out a camera, he's pulling out a camera. Look, if I'm in a park and I'm watching birds, which I would never be in a park watching birds. I would never be in a park. I'm not going to any parks. I'm not a park person, not a bird watching person. But if I was, and a dog's running around, I say, hey man, get your damn dog. And she says, but whatever, and she pulls out her camera. I'm getting out of there, man. I'm getting out of there. I'm not going to sit there and argue with this. She wasn't even that good looking, this woman. You know, I have no attraction to her. She's look goofy. I'm not going to argue with her. I'm going to get out of there. I got better stuff to do with my day. Much better. Much better. Any man would. It's not even a racial thing. Any man would do that. But she picked the wrong guy on the wrong day in the wrong time. Who, through that feminine energy, already knew what her plan was. So here's the thing. I'm going to end saying this. Guys, another thing. When you get into an argument or debate with a woman, just remember, she's going to go to win it. You are just trying to get a point across. You just want to make your point. 9 times out of 10, or maybe, okay, nowadays with how guys are arguing with women these days and stuff like that, nowadays it's probably more. Maybe 7 out of 10. Back in the day, 9 out of 10, you just want to get, or less. All right, I don't know. You do your own damn math, man. What I'm trying to say is, most of the times you just want to make a point and you're out. No, women are going for the win. No, they're going for the win, man. The win. They're not going for a point. That's what emotion does, man. You ever see when somebody scores a touchdown? It's the emotion. When you win a game, it's an emotion. It's an emotion, man. It's that dopamine. You won. Give me that dopamine. That's what that emotion does, is allow for you to get, all the dopamine you want. At the cost of whoever. What kind of person you messing with, man. You gotta check the tag on back at the clothes before you buy it, man. It may say caution, or it shrinks when wet, or do not dry. That's it. Well, anyway, this is Jude. Listen, check out my friend David Michael Joseph. His book, it's called Lust, Jokes, and Religion. It's an anthology of short stories, entertaining. He calls it pocket gossip. Wow, that was a horrible endorsement for my friend's book. Also, check out Madstulle, internet magazine dealing with culture, movies, and entertainment, as well as literature. And also, this week, me and I think it's Dubs will be talking about many things in a wash from San Pedro. So, hey, it's been real. This has been The Wash, and I'll throw these little episodes on here and there once in a while. But, listen, guys, I just want to tell you one thing. Listen, if a girl says you have a small dick, you don't have a small dick. She's saying that to get under your skin and to make you mad and to trigger you. So don't be triggered. But if a woman says you have a small penis, then you, in fact, do have a very small penis. This has been Jude for The Wash. I'm out of here. Have a good one.